What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. We are live today. It is not Friday, but as you guys know, I've been doing live streams throughout the week over the last few weeks. So anytime I get a topic of discussion that I feel needs to be addressed, here we are. So here we are again today. Today, we're talking about why I am done with top 10 lists. Now, big question mark. Obviously, I always like to add context. We will let some folks get in here. Again, this was not planned. I just had some things going on today that really triggered this. This is something that I've been sitting with for a long time. And just about 30 minutes ago, I said, this is something I want to bring up in a stream. We're going to have a discussion about it. So, Collected Chaos, I hope this isn't your top 10 reasons why you are done with the top 10 list. All right. Yes, let's break it down. My 10 points. Nope. It ain't happening that way. It is not happening that way. Let me give some updates as I always do while we're letting some folks get in. P. Keel, what's going on, P. Keel? Clayton, thanks for stopping in, folks. Let's see. Today is Saturday. We do have a awesome Comic Book Canon show lined up for tomorrow night. Comic Book Canon, our YouTube channel. The link is in the description below. If you're not subbed to us over there, we have our weekly shows every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have special guest Joe from 360 Comics. If you guys aren't subbed up to him, please do so. But you're going to check him out tomorrow with Jeff and I. JG, what's going on, JG? David, Luke, or Lake Jota. Artist Dude, what's going on, guys? So there is that. Another big announcement is I have a Whatnot sale coming up in just under a week. This coming Friday, what is that, the 26th? I have my part 2 of my all Spider-Man sale. I've been adding books in. I'll be adding books in every day. Anything Spider-Man related. You guys know I got a bunch of these up. This is a near mint copy right here. Second appearance of Hobgoblin. First appearance of Tombstone. I just sold the second full appearance of Punisher. So that's off the table for next week. But I got half of a long box. I will be adding books every day up until Friday for the show. And as I always do, 95% of my stuff is available for buy it now before we go live. So you guys can have the option of buying it at that purchase price pre-show. Ghost Junk, what's going on? Spider Dude, BBB, Como. Who would ever want to make a top 10 list? I'm going to break it down, Como, because it's not as black and white, obviously. Clayton, I can't even argue with after recent events. I've stopped following a few content creators. I'll break it down. Yeah, see, and Clayton, we might get into this whole influencer thing tonight because, it could be relevant. I'm not here to hate on quote unquote influencers. It's not even what this is about. And I will delve into the proper context once we get started here in a few more minutes, guys. Matrix, what's going on? Should I make gravy for my fried pork? Hell yeah, man. Absolutely. So we got Comic Book Canon tomorrow. We got my big Spidey sale, part 2. Coming up next Friday on Whatnot. Anybody that makes a purchase, one purchase will be an entry in to win this beautiful CGC 9.8 ASM Gleason variant, the second print. So I will be giving that away. What else we got going on? That's about it, guys. If you're not following me on Instagram, please do so there as well at journals_comics. If you guys are interested in buying comics, I'll be posting a lot more there as well. I finally started actually going into my PC and pulling books out of my PC to go into my sale inventory that I'm going to be selling off. So I've had a lot of people inquire. It's a lot to get everything in order. I'm one man. So just have patience with me, but please do inquire if you're looking for something. Virtual, Henry Cavill playing Hyperion. Hey, I can't knock it or judge it till I see it. And I trust in Feige and Sarah Haley Finn. So, yep, that Mountain Air. What is going on? Okay, so with that being said, I think we can start to get into this topic of discussion. Brandon, what's going on, Brandon? I'm coming for that spectacular Spider-Man 139. Ooh, do I have that? Do I have one? Comic News Network, what's going on? So, folks, and again, if you guys aren't subscribed to me here on YouTube, I truly appreciate you guys doing so. Obviously, that may be cliche, but without you guys, there's nothing here to do. And when I do these lives, I try to make it as of a two-way conversation as possible. I want to hear you guys' thoughts and perspectives, but I'm here making content almost every day of the week. I'm trying to scale back a little bit, but still, I am here for you guys. Manny, what's going on, Manny? I don't think top 10 lists are useless. If I have a top 10 book in one of my short boxes, I am selling. That's a good point, and I'm not saying that they're useless. And there's many different types of top 10 lists, and we're going to get into that. Pedro, what's going on, Pedro? So let's do it, guys. Let's start breaking this down. Let's break this down. So I want to set the record straight right now and add context to all of this. When I'm talking about being done with top 10 lists, I'm talking about like weekly top 10 lists. So let me give you an example. Como recently did a top 10 Daredevil comics or whatever, and it wasn't even really an investment video. It was like, these are just some kind of cool books that don't get talked about a lot. I'm sure there's some investment possibilities with them, maybe some spec, but they have good stories, good characters, good art, etc. So these are just 10 Daredevil books that I thought I would share with my viewers. If you're interested, if you're a Daredevil fan, if you're interested in getting into the character. That is not what I'm talking about, okay? Even if you look at some of my videos where I say top 10 X-Men keys to invest in for under $50. So what I try to do, first off, I'm just picking 10. So it's not necessarily a top 10. I mean, I could say 10 books. I could say 5 books. I could say 7. I could say 20. I do like top 50 under 50. Top 50 keys to invest in for under $50. And the way I see it is like, I look at, when I take an investing approach, an investment approach, I think long-term value. I mean, I'm not going to say that there's no short-term or no speculation there, because especially with Marvel movies, but I try to get ahead of the game. If I'm doing an X-Men in like top 10 investment X-Men books to invest in, sure, there's going to be speculation value there. Why? Because we know the X-Men are coming, but they're not here yet. And as soon as we get an announcement of a character, or as soon as we get that's when the books are going to start. Specific books are going to. So I'm like, what are some affordable books that don't have the spec under them yet? And I want to talk about them now to maybe help collectors make a decision. Okay, is this something that I'm interested in purchasing now with lower risk before they get into that spec market? And still, we're looking at the fact of if they have long-term value as well. I'm not even talking about those, although I have kind of stepped away from doing a lot of those as of late over the last few months. I haven't even really done many. I do plan on actually have an X-Men one coming up that I've actually been working on for a few weeks, and I just haven't finished it. That's not even what I'm talking about, folks. So top 10 should be viewed as trading and purchasing trends, John says. Okay, so let's break down, what am I talking about? What type of top 10 list am I talking about? And I said your weekly top 10 list. I'm going to give an example, and this is no knock to Cover Price. Cover Price's top 10 list. I've used their list for about 2 years now. I've used it on the Canon, the Comic Book Canon show that we do every week, and I brought it over to my channel. We've evolved the segment where, we would look at the list. We used to have our shows on Friday. We would look at that list of that week, and I would just talk about the books or maybe pick out the 3 that I thought were most interesting, whether for good or bad reasons. But then we kind of shifted it into props or flops, where I try to get creative, because we shifted our shows to Sunday. That list came out like almost a week before on that prior Monday. So what I did for all of you as viewers, I would go in and I would take their numbers from when it hit the top 10 list, and I would look over this last week and say, well, what have they done since they hit the top 10 list? And I would crunch those numbers, and then I would give a props or flops. And quite honestly, it became kind of taken out of context, because more often than not, when these books hit these top 10 lists, a week later, they're already fallen in value. So how am I going to give this book props simply for what it's doing? So what I started doing was I started looking at not as a purchasing grocery list, but is, do I like this book long term? Or what if you bought this book 2 years ago? Even though it's shot up because of spec value and it's dropped down a little, if you sold it today, a week later after it hit the top 10, you're still making money. So I still want to give the book props because I think it's going to do this and that, but then it has long-term inherent value and it's going to keep growing. So, and then it was just getting convoluted. People weren't even really understanding. And I got tired of it being the same thing. Now we're going to pull up an example of the current Cover Price top 10 list. And again, much love to Cover Price. I use Cover Price almost every single day of my life. I love Cover Price. I am a paying subscriber of Cover Price. I have the most expensive monthly membership. So this is, again, not a knock to Cover Price. And Cover Price uses real data for their list. And that is A-OK in my book, and it's solid in my book. And that's why I've used them for 2 years. But let's bring this up real quick. Okay, we're going to look at Cover Price. All right. I'm going to share. Here we go. So this is Cover Price's top 10 list that hit the website this last Monday. Okay. What do you guys see on it? What does it consist of? And this is what I've been saying when I've been doing these segments every week. It's always the same thing. It's either something's been optioned for Netflix or Prime Video or whatever, or there's been a trailer, Marvel, DC, whatever the case, or there's some ratio variant. Every single week, over and over again. Poison Ivy number 3. It's the 1 in 50 ratio variant. And look, I'm not knocking it. Like, you know, you got High Ross selling for over $200 of this book. Most likely that value will fade the hell out like they all do, like 90% of them do. But I'm not knocking that, because some people buy the ratios because, hey, they want it now, and they're willing to pay that money just because they like the art, right? So I'm not knocking that. You got all the Sandman stuff because the Sandman show hit. And, you know, we got first appearances of people that they think are going to pop up in the show later on now. You got, obviously, all the Secret Wars spec, which these are long-term books, obviously. So it's, again, I'm not knocking it. Secret Wars number 8 is going to be a blue chip key, in my humble opinion. It is, in my opinion. Will it go up and down because of the MCU specs? Sure, we'll have ebb and flow. That's a future blue chip key. The Hood, rumored for years to appear in first Hawkeye, and then Ironheart. So again, rumors, right? Oh, and that pairs with trailers or whatever. The rumor mill. 8 billion genies. It was optioned. Who knows if it'll even show up? Many of these, a large majority of these properties that get optioned don't even show up. They don't even make it to the screen. Incredible Hulk 213. Oh, we saw some obscure character in the background of a Marvel show. Jack of Hearts. because we cared about him before. So this book, it may have been a, I don't know. You could go look at the numbers. $10 book in high grade is selling for what? 3 times that now, 4 times that, and it'll cool off most likely. How many people in the chat care about Jack of Hearts? And again, I'm the optimist. I'm the devil's advocate. It doesn't mean that if we do see Jack of Hearts in the MCU, maybe that'll pique our interest. I mean, who the hell cared about Star-Lord until James Gunn did his thing, right? And now Star-Lord's a great character. Now, how that carries over to the comic books. Well, when the market was booming, Star-Lord's first appearance was dropping. So there is that. And then, of course, we got the bootleg, acetate, illegal, counterfeit book at number 1. So now, again, I want to make myself clear, guys. I'm not sitting here knocking Cover Price and what they do with these lists. Just like John was saying, I mean, these certain lists like this, they're indicators of what's going on in the market. That is a fact. But all of these lists showcase one thing. And you can hate me all you want for saying it, but it's the FOMO that has become out of control, and we do not have it in check, if you ask me. Even with the market cooling off and with the economy and inflation and all this, look at spec books over the last 8 months and follow their trends. Even MCU spec, and we know how solid MCU spec tends to be, they are still peaking at extremely high rates, and they are dropping just as fast. So no, these are not a shopping list. If you buy any of these books when these lists come out, you are taking a huge risk, and you're probably going to lose money. Now, unless it's a book like Secret Wars 8, where you may overpay right now, but if you still have it 5 or 8 or 10 years down the line, it'll probably still be worth more than you paid, even though you paid high, if that makes sense. Yeah, man, I hear you. I mean, hey, if you're selling books, you're going to capitalize on the market. There's no shame there, right? Viper. Yeah, but I heard a lot of good things about the story, but the book, the issue number 1 selling for what it's selling, I'm calling it right now. It's not going to hold. Even if it gets greenlit and optioned, and we see it. I mean, it is optioned, but even if it gets greenlit, I don't think it's going to hold. I'll go buy the trade. So, Nosh, what's going on, Nosh? Now, again, I'm not knocking the list for what it is. The list tells a story, and it tells a very factual story of what's happening on the market. But I just can't talk about it anymore. I'm done. I'm so done. And while I've always been the one, I'm all about squashing the division. You guys know me by now if you watch my channel, especially over the last couple of weeks. I'm done with the division. Speculators are ruining comic books. Influencers are ruining comic books. What's an influencer? Again, do they have to have X amount of subscribers? Do they have to make an X amount of money on whatnot? Anybody that has an audience of sorts can influence other people. You guys leaving your comments in the chat are influencing everyone else in the chat right now. Variants aren't ruining the hobby. Stop. Focus on the hobby, how you want to focus on it, and let everyone else do their thing. That's what I've always been about, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to get burnt out by having to work in this field as a journalist, so to say, and report on the stuff week after week after week, and it's the same damn crap. Because at the end of the day, I know for a fact. Now, can I actually give you guys proper, numerical numbers and percentages of who's doing this for what reason? No, but I know for a fact that a large majority of people buying these books that hit these lists are all up in their feelings. They are all up in their feelings, and they have that fear of missing out. I talked about how FOMO isn't inherently a bad thing. It's fun to FOMO out sometimes. If you have control of it and you walk that fine line and, still understand your budget, still understanding the risks involved, etc., etc. But we are also very hyper vigilant when it comes to this stuff. And I think a lot of it has to do, dare I say, with social media and how we feed into social media in different ways. One, not only the content that we take in and consume, but our status in social media. Now, status on social media has been brought up personally a lot over the last couple of weeks too. But I think it's funny because we don't need to be YouTubers or influencers to want to establish validation on social media. Everybody, dude, guys, I've watched the documentaries. I forget their names or who was involved, but they have done scientific clinical testing and analysis of how social medias, these platforms are created and operated in a way to where they trigger our, chemical responses in our brain similar to drugs. When we pull open our phone and we open that app and we see that red heart and we see 22 notifications when we wake up in the morning, that triggers the endorphins in our brain. Even if we aren't conscious of it, there's some type of subconscious validation as well. And it can become very dangerous. And we culturally accept this need it now, me, gimme mentality. Whether it's physical things, whether it's entitlements in life, or whether it's validation on social media. How many people use social media to simply show stuff off on Instagram or whatever the case may be? So a lot of the FOMO is involved with how we influence each other, regardless if we're YouTubers or sellers. And it becomes dangerous when we socially accept, or culturally, it's socio-cultural in how we accept this fight or flight, hyper vigilant mentality. And I think if we have to go back to what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, we can bring into the conversation Jason of Black Flag coming onto that video and saying, after all the controversy had started, I'm going to have a line for influencers. They can get 10 copies. And every other normal Joe is just going to get their own line and only be able to get one. Gimme, me. Now, am I calling Jason of Black Flag a bad person? No. We need to learn from these issues. Now, let's go back to the topic at hand, the top 10 list. I don't want to get too far away from my point here. Does it mean that I'm saying people that buy into these books, people that buy into the FOMO, are they bad people? Are they ruining comic books? No. I mean, everything has a cause and effect, and we could talk about if there's negative effects that can happen from this, sure, but let's put that aside. Are they like just, is it this generalization of the fact of, well, if somebody's buying a book because they're having FOMO, or maybe they watch a YouTuber or two and they use these top 10 lists, or maybe they're subscribed to, an app where you get these top 10 lists fed to you, and they can't help but like want to go and buy it right away. Maybe a lot of them are conscious of what they're doing, and it's okay. Maybe they're willing to take the risks. Maybe some of them aren't. Maybe some of them are in their addiction. Maybe it's addict behavior, and it is. A lot of it is. And this is not about placing blame. That's why I said I'm not here to say, cover price, stop putting out this top 10, because you're perpetuating FOMO. You're ruining the hobby. You're perpetuating influencers and flippers. No, I'm not saying that at all. All cover price is doing is reporting on sales data. You have YouTubers that do the same thing. And you guys know, if you guys watch, I often bring up Comic Tom and Gem Mint because, there's some big dogs in the community, and they have a huge top 10 video series. And I've said the same, and I don't watch them that much, so I can't sit here and tell you exactly what they do. But from what I've watched, their top 10 is showing what's been trending on the market. Key Collector is an app, has trending top 10 lists. I personally, though, am done talking about them. I'm done talking about these lists. I want to read a few comments here before I continue on. Well, I see some negative comments here about certain individuals that make top 10 lists. Let's take Tom and Gems. I believe it's both of them still, right? They do the record breaking sale list. That's different. That's different because you have a lot of blue chip keys that are brought into that conversation. And while as a buyer, as a collector, I don't buy into record sales. Like, I'm not going to, even as a seller, it's like, I'm not just going to use an outlier record sale or the last sale to, influence my decision-making as a buyer or a seller, because that's not how you evaluate the fair market value on a market, especially comic book market. But I like those lists because they're different. And again, they're taking real sales data and just talking about it. So those type of lists aren't what I'm talking about. Those are more like usually big dogs that are, heritage auction books, big books from investors that are putting money into the hobby, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, again, completely different than the simple lists that showcase spec, right? CBSI. And again, no knock on CBSI. I do believe it is Ben that still brings those lists together. He talked to me a little bit about how he does it. There's no real science. He doesn't have an exact science. Cover Price does, because it's all algorithms they take from like eBay, My Comic Shop, I believe Heritage, and a few others. I don't think, if Ben is still making the CBSI top 10 list, I don't think there's an exact science. But obviously, he's looking at what's trending. And a lot of it is still the same stuff. Option, rumor, fake rumors from fake wannabe scoopers that pull anything out of their behind and say World War Hulk movie is already in development and it's in production. It's going in production in 2021. Right. Trailers, Easter eggs, and ratio variance. It's the majority of what it is. These things aren't bad. They're not bad inherently. There's obviously a lot of people that still enjoy doing this. And here's the difference between me and other people that come out and speak negatively of these types of top 10 lists. The difference between me and people who sit here and bash speculators, flippers, influencers, certain apps and websites, the difference between me and them is this. I am not mad at anybody making these lists whatsoever. Now, unless somebody's like lying, like if there's false information, sometimes false information happens on accident. Now, I'll give you an example. Cover Price, a few weeks ago, they had a book on their top 10 and they missed a sale and their numbers were wrong in their reporting. This hit the top 10 and it had a high 9.8 of this. That was wrong because there was a higher 9.8 that they missed. Now, are they like purposefully like doctoring the data? No. I've reached out to Cover Price countless times when they've been missing something or the data's been off and they're like, oh, thank you so much for letting me know. We're gonna correct that. And they have. So, this is another reason why I don't pick up pitchforks, because you don't know when somebody could just accidentally have the wrong information or, missing information. It could be a mistake. I'm going to tell you guys right now, ain't going to be no immature high school name calling in my comments. If that's what you guys are here, like, I am not going to silence your opinion on certain individuals. We're all, hey, love it or hate it. Plenty of people hate me for whatever reasons. Plenty of people support me. That's fine. You can express in the comments why you support or don't support certain individuals. We're not stooping to high school BS. So cut it out right now. I'm going to tell you humbly and respectfully. Cut it out. You got something to get off your chest. Express it in a respectful adult manner. If not, I ask you respectfully to maybe just listen or leave the chat and go, whatever. I don't want to block anyone. I'm not trying to censor everyone, but we're grown-ass adults here, man. I am not having it. I am not having it. And again, that's another thing that makes me, that separates me from all these other people acting like they're down for the community. We ain't here freaking acting like we're goddamn in high school anymore. I'm sick of this crap, man. For real. I'm sorry. I'm tired of it. Tired of it. So for anybody that has something to say it respectfully and in a constructive manner. You want to hold people accountable because you think what they do is distasteful? Say it. I'm not, and this is the fallacy that people that have came and attacked me with. I'm not here defending anybody. Because right now I'm pissing off both sides of this argument. Because those people with the pitchforks are like, oh, all right, journos, he's calling out these influencers or these apps. Nope, that is not what I'm doing. I'm speaking truth on my own opinions. I want you guys to do the same. Just do it respectfully. Yeah, Red Knight, I agree. Cover Price has a long way to go, and I've seen them evolve. They're going to keep doing it, man. They're going to definitely keep evolving. So let me get back to what I was saying. I am not mad at anybody making these types of lists. I don't care if they are an app, a website, or a YouTuber. they can go ahead and make those lists, because if people watch them, it means that people want that information. And that's fine. For me, I'm done with it though. I'm tired of that information. I'm done with it. Because it's ruining the hobby? Absolutely not. Because it's not for me. Now, I will do some constructive criticism here. And again, it's not necessarily of any individual that's a YouTuber or an app. Because look, even Key Collector. And Key Collector obviously gets a lot of crap because, you know, they do showcase a lot of spec. Key Collector has so much more on their app that has nothing to do with spec. Nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever talks about that. Key Collector has spotlights on dollar bin pickups, story arcs, character highlights. There's a lot there that can speak to other types of collectors that aren't just here wanting to spec on stuff because it's optioned or as a trailer or is on TV or in the movies or a ratio variant. Okay, let's see. Well, no, sorry, I'm trying to bring up Marin Garage Door. Does that say Marin? Marin County, by chance? So, on that note, will you ever call any of this influencers if you absolutely have to do it to protect the hobby or not? Okay, what do you mean? Give me an example, Marin Garage Door. What? I'm not. Call what? Please give me a specific example and I will give you my honest reply. Absolutely. I like this. Art, a good story, and first appearances are what influence me. I know I kind of changed that around. We got issues, but I love that because, yeah, you know what you want. And maybe you watch YouTubers to get information, but at the end of the day, you have your criteria, right? Notch says, my influence today is what I absolutely desire to read, but I was in the past strongly influenced by YouTubers. And, you know, I mean, hey, like, are you, I mean, and Notch, let me ask you this. When you were heavily influenced by YouTubers, was it because of your own excitement? You know, when you just, it was a part of the hobby that you kind of dove headfirst in and you enjoyed it then, but maybe you evolved and realized, well, I don't have to just buy just because a YouTuber's talking about it. And if that's the case, is it anybody's fault that you did what you did? Or maybe you were just your own person and filling out the hobby the way that you wanted. Did anybody force you to buy anything? Did anybody force you? Did they brainwash you into buying a book just because they were in a YouTube video talking about it? And Marin Garage Door, I still want you to give me a good, more concise example, because I want to give I want to talk about that. I want to see if you can give me an example to where I can respond with, okay? Tony, what's going on, Tony? Who's this? Smelly Pants, love the handle. I only watch YouTube for entertainment, not what I should put my money in. If you do, it's a problem. I disagree. I mean, I don't disagree with what you do, Smelly Pants. I'm gonna laugh every time I say your name. Not at you, but with you. I only watch YouTube for entertainment, not what I should put my money in. That's great. That's rules for you to live by. But if somebody else watches YouTube and they take notes on what they need to put their money in, that's not a problem. That's not inherently a problem. Maybe they know what they're doing, and maybe they understand the risks involved. Maybe they like hearing what somebody else is talking about and is showing off. Now, it could be a problem on an individual level, on a one-by-one account, if those people are, if they're treating it like an addiction, if they're not really conscious of what they're doing and they're FOMOing out. And they could get burnt by doing that. But is it the YouTuber's fault if they're watching a YouTube video? Is it the app's fault just because they're getting push or notifications saying this character has been optioned? Oh, crap, I got to go buy it. Every day I wake up, put on my big boy pants, and own my own purchasing decisions. YouTube and whatnot is cool for some info/content, but at the end of the day, we gotta own our own choices. I'd stand up right now, but I wouldn't give you guys a good shot. But I want to give this a standing ovation. Let me say this again. Every morning I wake up, put on my big boy pants, and own my own purchasing decisions. YouTube and whatnot is cool. We can even throw in apps or databases in there. Those are all cool for information and context. But at the end of the day, we got to own our choices. Brendan, you are my new best friend. I'm still waiting for Marin Garage Door to give me an example of where I would have to hold another YouTuber or influencer accountable. Thank you for Sean. That is correct. Absolutely. Now, I'm sitting here saying it's no app is to blame for your purchasing decisions, Brendan. Adding so much great context to that. No YouTuber is to blame. I don't care if the top 10 lists are all filled with spec FOMO. That's going to go up in price and come right back down. You got to own your purchasing decisions. But here's where I'm at as a content creator. And yeah, I have influence. People who watch my channel come to me for information. And I have a certain element of power and responsibility. So maybe how I view my responsibility is different than other content creators. That's to each their own, and I'm not knocking anybody for that. But it comes to a point where I can't ethically and morally sit here and look at a book on this list and do this. I can't do this. Number 3, Hulk. What is that? 170, whatever, or 2. I don't even remember the Hulk number. First appearance of Jack of Hearts. Man, this book is on fire. It is boom. Like if you aren't getting this book, go get this book right now. And again, I'm not saying that anybody does this. I'm not trying to I'm not mocking anybody, or I'm not trying to impersonate anybody that does top 10 lists, whether they're YouTubers or I don't know. I'm just saying, for me, I can't sit here and hype this book up and say, this book is flaming hot. Get it while you can. You're missing out. Because then what am I doing? I'm not being honest. So that's where the influence can become a problem. And again, I'm not saying that anybody is doing this. I can't do it. And I've never done it. I've never, ever since we've started doing the top 10s, using Cover Prices data. Again, I'm not sitting here being a freaking, I don't want to say this isn't the proper way to use a yes man, but I'm not yes man in all these books, really. Like, I would give you my honest opinion. And I'd say, you know, the book's already made the list. You buy it right now, it's extremely volatile. You're taking huge risks. But hey, if you find it in the back issues bins for $5 still, you know, why not? It's only $5. That's low risk. But, you know, say this book was selling at, you know, $90 in a 9.8 before the Jack of Hearts rumor, or, you know, and now a 9.8 selling for 300. I would say I would never in my life, first off, I would have never buying it in a 9.8 graded even for $90. But if you're buying it for 300 right now, whatever, you do you blow your money. I got bills to pay. Or I'd rather buy a low grade. I'd rather buy a low grade Amazing Spider-Man number 8 for less than that. That's what I'm spending my money on. But hey, you do you, right? You do you. Understand the risk. But if you're finding a back issue bin for $5, $6, $7, hey, there you go. Low risk. If nothing pans out with Jack of Hearts, oh well, you have a cool Bronze Age Hulk book, right? So I'm always honest. But even then, guys, I'm done. I'm done talking about it because I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to say the same thing for every book. I wouldn't buy it in a 9.8. If you're buying it right now and using it as a shopping list, you're freaking gambling all your money away. If it's up here for, you know, if it's an indie title, because it's been optioned, most likely it's not going to get greenlit. Even if it does, let's look at this book where it is a year from now and watch this $40 book, you know, being bargain bins. I'm going to say the same thing over and over and over again. I think we got an example from Marin. Okay, let's see what Marin has to say. Last time you said you will use PGX if the owner sits down with you and answer the hard questions. Absolutely. Yep. I think you one day may have to call one of these guys for their way of treating the hobby. You're not giving me an example though, Marin. You can, I mean, I don't know if I'm making a point. Sorry. Be careful while you're driving. Well, I do appreciate your feedback towards me. I'm honored and I appreciate that. But again, I think saying somebody is ruining the hobby is such a strong, very strong statement. And I don't think it's factually true because the hobby is great. We just need to focus on it, right? Like, let me tell you guys something. If you honestly don't care about speculation or top 10 lists, whatever, whether it's, you know, record sales or just top 10 lists that weekly list, you know, like Cover Price does, if you don't care about those, right? And you don't care about these big YouTubers that have, you know, 20, 50, 100,000 subscribers, whatever the case may be. It's not why you're in the hobby. What they talk about isn't why you're in the hobby. You do realize, right, that if you guys do want to be on YouTube and watch comic book content, you do realize that there's more content that's not that. You realize that, right? There are literally more people that have YouTube channels, whether they're really small channels with only a few hundred subscribers, maybe they only have a couple thousand subscribers. You do realize that there are more content creators that make content about comic books that have nothing to do with spec. You realize that, right? So the point I'm trying to make is this. Maybe there's a few big YouTubers that, you know, highlight spec again, which is not wrong. That's what they do. And people enjoy that. How does that hurt you? Don't watch them and go support the little guys. I mean, the little guys need support. These little YouTuber channels that actually collect in similar ways of how you collect, that enjoy the hobby the same way that you do, go watch their channel. Share that on your IG. Share that on your Facebook. Share that with your friends. Tune out what doesn't speak to you. You don't need to follow these people on Instagram. You don't need to watch their YouTubes. You don't need to download the apps if they're not for you. And if you did that, you would realize that, man, this hobby is still, well, I don't want to say exactly because everything changes, but it's still the beautiful hobby that you've always learned to love and grow to love. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's the same with variance. I am so tired of talking about ratio variance hitting top 10 lists every week. But ratio variants are not ruining anything for me as a comic book collector and as a comic book hobbyist. I could care less. Care less. Now, Marin, you still didn't give me an actual example, but I'm gonna lean into what you're trying to get at. Okay? There have been big whatnot sellers that were really doing some shady tactics on whatnot in their whatnot sales. I came here and made videos on them. I didn't give their names away. I didn't think, sometimes I think dropping people's names isn't the point. I think if I can educate my viewers to what to look out for, I don't need a name drop because they can go and see it no matter who it is. And if these sellers are doing exactly what I was showing off as being a problem, they'll know not to support them. I made a couple videos about certain sellers doing the whole, come on guys, bid it up, bid it up. Or being really shady used car salesmen. I talked about it on my channel, Maureen. So I think that's one example. I will always hold people accountable. And I said this as well. Ironically, a lot of the big sellers that actually have big YouTube channels are some of the most honest sellers on YouTube. And I guarantee you that a lot of these people that throw certain YouTubers and whatnot sellers under the bus, they haven't even hopped into one of their whatnot shows. And I'm not saying everyone is without fault. Obviously, the C2E2 stuff has brought certain things to light that people can learn from. And I'm going to tell you guys again, it's not my place to talk about my private conversations, but I have had private conversations with some of the individuals that were involved. And all I can share with you guys is that I know for a fact that this has been a learning lesson for people. This has been a learning lesson for people. But it came to a point to where even if some of these people came out and tried to publicly address it and say, I learned from this, maybe I won't do this, maybe I'll do that differently. It doesn't matter because all those loud people with pitch, or most of them, I know some of you guys truly care, but most of those loud people, they're influencers in themselves because they know that every time they drop these people's names on their IGs, it's getting them clicks and views and likes, and they're rallying up the pitchforks. It doesn't matter what these people would say. It could be the freaking Virgin Mary, Jesus himself. They would literally crucify them. The irony of using Jesus. I mean, even Jesus was crucified. Sold out by his own people. The parallels here. And I'm not trying to say anybody selling on whatnot or any YouTuber is Jesus. Please don't take it out of context. Please don't. But, so I've actually, and if we want to talk specifically, and I've talked about this recently, I have grown to You know, I've used Key Collector, the app, more and more over like the last year or so. And like I said, it's not just about spec, guys. It is such a great tool for anybody that enjoys this hobby. It really is. Scotty, what's going on? If you want to learn about characters, team ups, first appearances, Key Collector is a great tool because it's a database first and foremost. I have the app. I've had the app now, I think, since late last year. I have never once looked at their push note. I don't know if they're a push notification. I don't know the specifics, but you know, the ping notifications that come up. I've never looked at a notification. I mean, I'll see them, but I'll swipe them. I'll swipe them away. I don't care. I don't care what's been optioned. I don't care what deadline reported on. And if there's something the deadline reported on, I already know about it because I'm reporting on it as a journalist for Comic Book Canon. That's not why I use Key Collector. I use Key Collector because I like to learn about first appearances and team-ups and all this stuff. But even then, I still disagree with how they label some of their first appearances. I disagree with how they label Mary Jane's first appearances. I disagree with it, plain and simple, and I always will. And I will absolutely be transparent about that. I will always come on my channel and say, the way the Key Collector labels Mary Jane's first appearance, I disagree with. I disagree with how they label Punisher's second and third appearances, although they actually add more context now, which is awesome. But I agree with so many other appearances that they have different than, say, CGC, and I disagree with how CGC labels those appearances. Why do I need to hate something in order to hold it accountable to my opinions or my ethics? I don't. And I said this before. There was a big YouTuber who I respect greatly, and I disagreed with the video that he did, and I wrote an essay of a comment. I didn't have to make a video about it. I don't need to do all that. I don't need to always make a video about something just because I disagree with someone. Because you know what I've learned? No matter my intent, perception from certain people is going to be one thing, no matter my intent. And if I make a video about this YouTuber just because I agree about one thing, what is that going to do? It's going to spark the pitchforks. But you know what I did? I wrote an essay of a comment under his video, and I said, respectfully, I disagree. And here's why. I will always speak my mind. Always. That's another thing too. That's another thing. And I've been trying to say this, and people don't listen. People don't want to listen, maybe because they know I'm talking about them. It's like, look, I mean, admit it. Be honest, but, and I'm not generalizing because it's not everybody, but yes, we got issues. There are people out there that will trash variants and then they'll go buy variants. And I know that a lot of times it's because maybe they missed out. A lot of people will trash spec and say speculation's ruining the hobby. Flippers are ruining the hobby. When I know that you flip yourself. I've seen you. I've seen you flip. You have an eBay store. I've seen you post 5 or 10 copies of a certain book on your IG. But you're going to tell me that flippers are ruining the hobby. Oh, what? But you just missed out on this one issue and now you're salty because you didn't put in your pull list or something. But again, I don't mean to generalize because I've been guilty of that. It's so funny. I've been guilty of saying, oh, you're just salty because you missed out on it. I could give a damn. I have done my previews orders from my comic shop, you know, where I get 35% off and I order everything in advance. And I've actually, when I go to check out and I look at my cart, I've pulled out books that ended up being hot spec books. And I find out, I'm like, God dang it. Shoot, I'm so stupid. Why did I pull that one out? But guess what? At the end of the day, I could give a damn. Because I'm not going to sit here and FOMO out over every little thing, spend more money than I have in my bank account. And then when I miss out on something, blame someone else for my own actions. And it goes for the same when it comes to top 10 lists. Don't blame somebody making a top 10 list for you FOMOing out. Be responsible for your own actions. Now, I do want to hold people accountable that make top 10 lists for them to be mindful of how they deliver these lists. I wish that everybody could deliver these lists honestly. And again, I'm not saying that people don't. I don't watch them. I don't watch enough. I hope that they are. Bronze Age, what's going on, man? Yeah, and PQ, who cares? Everyone cares, though. Everyone cares. Because so many people keep talking about them. And this is why we need to get away from the labels, guys. Flippers, influencers, stop putting labels on people. It comes down to the individual and if they are an honest, respectful individual or not. That's what it comes down to. I don't care if you have a YouTube that has 100,000 subscribers or you have a YouTube that has 2,000 subscribers. I don't care if you're just a seller on eBay or on whatnot. I don't care if you don't have a YouTube and you just pitchfork on Instagram. Stop putting people in boxes and judge them. First, I know we say, oh, don't judge, but it's hard not to judge. We have to make, dispositions upon people, but do that accordingly to their actions and also facts, not just because of a label, not just because of a certain status, and not just because somebody else is talking about them in a certain way and you want to be a part of the, whether you want to be a part of the cool clique or maybe because you actually have good intentions and you've been influenced by the pitchfork mob, right? Spec and flipping has been around in the hobby longer than most people complaining about it and have been collecting themselves. Absolutely. It doesn't ruin anything if your mindset won't allow it to. Brendan, is this the same Brendan? I'm telling you, Brendan, best friends, man. We have become best. Obviously, I appreciate this context that you're adding, man. This is seriously, guys. And this is like simple adulting. This is simple adulting to see it from this point of view. It boggles my mind that we can't see it. The last couple of comments that Brendan has brought up, like, I don't understand. I can't fathom how we aren't seeing it from these points of views. And it's like, we as human beings, as men, most of us are men here. We know that. There are women that enjoy the hobby. And I wish there was more, diversity in that sense, but it is what it is. We are all grown adults, grown men, grown adults. Yet I feel that even if we have good intent, we allow ourselves to act in a devolved nature. We act in that animalistic nature. We bring our ego forward and we put our chest out and pound our chest up, even if we think we have good intent. We got to stop acting like that. We're not animals. We're not cavemen. We have the conscious ability to be beyond that. Take the info, make it your own decisions. Nobody's forcing anyone to do anything yet. Again, but at the same time, hold people accountable to make sure that they're honest and transparent. Again, just because we say stuff like Brandon and Sean and what I'm saying here, it doesn't mean we're making excuses for anyone to be unethical. Can you guys understand that as well? Nobody's making excuses for anyone to cross the line of being unethical. That's a big dinner fork, Scotty. Yeah, PQ. I mean, you don't need to. I'll just add, because some people have good jobs and they're well off and they can just afford to buy comics. But this is one aspect of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, let me try to go through a few more comments here. I like what a lot of you guys are adding to the conversation. I will buy. I don't buy like expensive variants, but I do like having the options of cover B and C if they're the same price, cover price, and I'll buy whatever cover I like. And sometimes I'll buy cover A. I think cover A is a better option still. Eddie's mullet. Yeah, somebody else made that comment. I had one of these influencers bully me because I didn't want to sell him my entire run of Jim. Really nasty. Like a month of harassing me after I sold it to someone else on Whatnot. Well, Marin Garage Door, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know what you're talking about or who you're talking about. And again, it doesn't matter if they're an influencer. It doesn't matter if this is somebody with a YouTube channel or a big name on Whatnot. If what you say is true and how they acted you are just in your accusations, then that's just wrong. No matter who you are, that's wrong. So, look, if I were you and YouTubers are a business. YouTubers are a business. Even if they don't care about making money, you're delivering a service for people to consume. Okay? You're creating a product for people to consume. So the public has the right to publicly provide feedback. Why do you think there's places like Yelp or Google reviews? You could go and give somebody a 1-star review and say, this restaurant was crap. This comic book store was horrible. Horrible customer service, etc., etc. People have the right to do that with YouTubers. I just hope that what you're saying is honest still. You always want to be honest in your critiques and criticism. Now, you got to understand, too, that content creators have the right to respond back because we have the right to protect our self-interest. We have the right to protect our brand. And this is where influencing and social media becomes a problem. Because you got to be very careful of defamation. Especially if you're another content creator or you have a large following. Because it's very easy to say, I just don't like this person, or I had a shady experience with this person, and here's what happened, right? And again, hopefully you're being honest. But anything that is verbally said that has an audience or is documented, or anything that's written that is documented, can be defamation if you aren't careful with how you're presenting what you're saying or what you're doing. Now, obviously, being able to build a case and bring something to court, good luck. But we all have a responsibility, and that's why I said we need to be accountable. Anybody that wants to pick up pitchforks with someone, even though they think that they have good intent, you need to be accountable, because you don't want to spread rumors. And that's why I'm so passionate about why we need to act in a certain way when holding people accountable. Because I've seen straight up how conspiracy theories can get started. And quite honestly, there are some entities out there that could build a strong case for defamation, the way that certain people perpetuate things. Travis, I hear you. You know, exactly. I mean, just for fun, seeing what's going on, for sure. Good Lord, he only wants to hear comments that both he agrees with and agrees with him. That's a lie. That is a lie. If you watched my last stream, Game Punisher, I brought up two people that disagreed with me, and we had a conversation. We had a productive conversation. So, Game Punisher, here is your chance. Tell me in the chat right now what you disagree with. You got a disagreement, bring it up. We're going to hash it out right now. Tell me what you have a problem with me right now. Let's do it, because you're wrong. Journo, don't like the hobby. Take over your room real estate. Okay. First off, your comment makes absolutely no sense at all. So I can't even respond, because grammatically it makes absolutely no sense. You're welcome to share what you're trying to say again, so I can understand it in English. Yes, really. Okay, Game. I'm waiting. Let's do it. I even brought up points that I disagree with earlier in the show, but I guess, whatever. You believe what you want to believe. It's all good. But Game Punisher, let's hear it. I'm trying to get caught up on the comments, so by the time I do, I'm sure you'll have something for me. Absolutely. If the information isn't correct, that they come behind the previous video or post and correct it. That's very important. Absolutely. Trying to get caught up in these comments, because I'm going to address these people acting like I only this is an echo chamber. My channel is never an echo chamber. I'll even invite you guys on. If you want me to send you the StreamYard link, I'll invite you guys on, and I'll give you like 5 minutes to hash it out against me. Whatever. I mean, you can, as long as you're not acting like a high school, child. I'm ready. Daymers, what's going on? Yep. Not near mint. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I don't think people really understand. Like I said, it takes a lot to build a case, but still, people don't understand. Expensive paper. Thank you so much. Great challenge showing some support. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Truly. Serge, what's going on, Serge? Good to see you. All right, I'm still waiting to see a comment from Game Punisher to tell me something that he disagrees with, because he's trying to say I only provide an echo chamber here. Fat Dad, what's going on, Fat Dad? He's saying I have too many comics in my room. If that's what you got, Nuckin, whatever his name is, you want to buy some, hit me up on IG. I'll gladly give you some more. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Game. Let's see what Game has to say here. Let me get some water. The whole speculator and flip for profit market is exactly why American comics need to fail, so it can be rebuilt as a hobby kids will want to adopt again. Flipping also led to toilet paper hoarding. Okay, Game Punisher. Guess what? Guess what, Game Punisher? There's some valid points here. You got some valid points. I don't think it's as black as white. There's a lot to hash out here. So let's, okay. First, flipping and speculating isn't inherently wrong, okay? It's been around since really the early 70s, but even until the late 60s, after the Marvel Age was created, okay? You got to understand that. Flipping, speculating, it's not inherently wrong. But you're bringing up, you're not adding the context, but I feel that you're bringing up just a bigger, deep-rooted issue. And this kind of goes with the theme of today's show about, like, I'm not against these weekly top 10s, but there's a cultural, like, problem that's scary when it comes to, like, the addictive nature of people, right? So I think what Game Punisher is trying to say is that maybe he's not saying flipping in the speculative market isn't inherently bad, but there's huge problems with it today. And I agree with that. Why it needs to fail so it can be rebuilt as a hobby for kids to adopt again. So flipping, so I mean, there's a greed issue. Flipping is why people were hoarding toilet paper. Yeah, there's a greed issue. There's an entitlement issue. I talked about this at the beginning of my show. Yes, there is. But it's not everybody. Just because somebody flips or sells to make a profit, it doesn't mean that they're unethical. But let's look at the C2E2 situation and look at specifically Black Flag. At the root of it and how all that was handled. I don't want anything to fail, Game Punisher, but I do want things to come to light. And I think what you mean here by saying this is why it needs to fail, I think it's almost like a forest getting burnt down. And, you know, even though there's wreckage, there's havoc, you know, there's new growth. And through the burn, after the smoke clears, right, you have new growth that can come. And I think when we look at what happened with the C2E2 stuff, a lot of stuff came to light. And I think a lot of crap got burnt, but now there's room for stuff to grow. And I do feel there is more room for that in this hobby. Flippers aren't ruining the hobby. Variants aren't ruining the hobby. Speculation isn't ruining the hobby. Is greed imposing detriments on the hobby? Yes. Is addictive FOMO posing detriments on the hobby? Yes. But we have to stop labeling things and generalizing and putting us against them, divide and conquer, emotions, reactions, pitchforks. That solves nothing. So, game, I want to hear what you have to say about my response, because funny thing is, we actually agree on a lot of the core issues. Let me go back and see if you responded to what I was saying. DJ Moonchild, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ninth Wonder is here. Ninth Wonder and I, what were we talking about? Exclusives. Good conversation, too. Some Ninth Wonder and I had some opposing viewpoints in a IG debate today, and that would be something good to talk about. And it's all love, man. Love what Ninth Wonder does. So please don't tell me that I only want to hear what I want to hear. People that agree with me, absolutely not. But Game Punisher, let's see what else you have to say. I recently went inside my local Barnes and Noble's bookstore, saw walls filled with manga, whereas American graphic comics were relegated. Sorry, guys, I have reading glasses and it's hard for me to read sometimes. Relegated to a double-sided island shell path with every book. Yeah. I mean, the market for manga is growing, which is good. But you know, another thing, Game Punisher, another problem. It isn't just this, greed and things. Price point. This $3.99, $4.99, $5.99 price point is what's really hurting new comics. Como, I'm 100% behind finding a way to get kids into this hobby. The problem are inaccessible for a vast amount of today's kids at a time when there are thousands of distractions. Very true, Como. But I will say this too. I don't think people give the younger generation enough credit. There are plenty of young kids coming into this hobby. Is it as much as when like people our age were kids? No. Do we need to do better? Does the industry need to evolve better? Like Game Changer was saying? Yes. But I still don't think people give enough credit to those that are coming into the hobby. And that's a good thing that doesn't get talked about as much as it should, but there's still a lot more we could do. Yep, very true. Very true. Absolutely. Collecting Chaos, always bringing in some really good OG knowledge. Flipping comics for profit. Hell, I did that with Conan #1, Iron Man #1, Sub #1, in 69, 70, and 71, along with a crap ton of other comics from that time. Thank you, Collecting Chaos. This is nothing new. Everything is heightened because we have social media, instantaneous information, internet, so forth. And yes, greed is something that is plaguing our society at every level. Just like Completion has said, there's greed and FOMO involved in every industry, every aspect of life, politics. I mean, it's just, so there's a bigger issue here that's bigger than comics. Swaggle! What's going on, man? I think this is, I haven't read it all, but I think this is another one that's I'm going to give a big thumbs up to. All we have to do is wage war with our wallet. Stop supporting, watching, or buying from stores or influences that take advantage of the hobby. or simply from people that don't speak to us as collectors. Because again, I want to make it clear, not everyone is taking advantage of the hobby. If there are people willing to watch a top 10 list just because of a trailer and a seller wants to sell those books now, or a YouTuber wants to talk about it, it's not necessarily inherently wrong, because there is responsibility on the buyer. But again, there is responsibility on a seller to be honest, on a YouTuber to be honest and transparent, etc., etc. Interesting point. Yeah, this is a good point too. Well, I think because you got to understand, manga and even graphic novels were never a collectible. The comic book genre is a very popular genre to read. Right? Comic books, though, became collectibles. And that's why it's different. We have to stop looking at the modern primary comic book floppy market as an investment market. Sure, there are things to invest in because they're still comic books. But we need to go back to finding a balance, because they're still made for one reason. The main reason is to read, to enjoy the art and the stories to read, right? There needs to be a balance. I mean, the publishers are putting anything that out there because they think it's going to sell. And yeah, we need to hold them accountable for better stories. And don't get me wrong, there's still good stories out there. Speak with our wallets. So, Game Punisher, I want to ask you this. Do you still believe that I'm only here wanting to have an echo chamber, Game Punisher? Do you truly believe that I'm just up here showcasing comments that agree with my, my biases or whatever? Or do you have an open mind and an understanding now that that's not who I am? That is not what I do on my channel. And I'm here to have an open-ended debate with anyone regarding any topic, any time of day, as long as we can do so respectfully, passionately, and productively. I want to know your answer to that now. Things do change, and that's another thing, Red Knight. Things change, and we get so stuck in our ways, and we get mad because it's not how we used to be. Grumpy old men now. That's what we are. We're grumpy old men. Ugh! I remember in my day, and well, it's not our day anymore. It's sad, but hey, it is what it is. Things change. Yeah. That's how I started, until I wanted to keep building a for sale inventory, because I wanted to start selling comics and hope one day have an LCS. I don't Lou, I mean, look, I would say that the live action spec market is more dangerous and volatile. Variants, the variant market has been huge for 12 plus years now, and it keeps growing. The incentive variant, the exclusive variant, I'm telling you, man, look, people like their variants, and they're willing to get burned. So many people drop $100, $50, $100, $200 on a variant because they want it and they'll get burned and they don't care. They'll be back buying the next variant. And a lot of people will pay top dollar just because they want that book, because they love the art so much. Swag, this is a great conversation to have one day. Yep. Absolutely. And we're talking about the primary market, the modern primary market specifically. I like this idea. Yep. Jesse, what's going on, Jesse? This is another very valid point. Very valid point. All right, I want to see if Game Punisher has responded to my question. Here we are. I can't get to everyone's comments. Okay, let's see. Journo. I will rescind what I said. It just seemed like you were only applauding what you like to see, which is why I said that. Thank you so much for that response. I appreciate it. My point is people read manga, whereas people buy comics too. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And look, that's another thing I get tired of. And I'm not saying it's ruining the hobby, but it gets tiring when, you know, I'm in all the Facebook comic groups, right? And you're like, and everyone's like posting just a random new book. Random new book. Guys, is this a good investment? Like, is this a good? I'm like, oh. Not everything is an investment. People do read comics still, but you know, I wish those conversations came up more. But we have to again, this is what I said at the beginning of my show. These top 10 lists aren't doing anything to hurt me. People that want to speculate are doing nothing to hurt me. If all I want to do is talk about books I want to read or collect in my way, and there's so much more content out there on YouTube, on social media that tends to that. And we just need to find it. Tune out anything that doesn't speak to you. All right. Game Punisher. I really hope everyone watching has saw the back and forth between Game Punisher and myself. I think you came on Game Punisher when I just had those two people that were saying spot on stuff too, how I was feeling. But yeah, I appreciate us working through disagreements and finding middle ground. Again, to anybody that wants to hate on me and hate on my channel, you guys can go ahead all you want. You want to talk about, keeping tabs on what I do and who I am and why I'm here. I'll show it in every video and in every live stream I ever do. I am anyone that wants to come out and say, your journo's all Journo does is freaking get mad at anybody that disagrees with him. He can't ever have a conversation. He bullies people that have nope. He can't ever hear somebody else's point of view. I don't want to hear it. The problem is it's the irony. People that jump to those conclusions don't expect a person on YouTube to actually respond to them and say, I disagree, and here's why. People get on social media and want an echo chamber. They want to go to somebody on YouTube. And here's the funny thing, guys. There's so many people that watch my videos and leave a comment, and I know when I'm reading their comment, I know that they misunderstood something I said. And I'll heart their video. I say respect. I do the heart to say I respect the comment. And I'll respond saying, I hear what you're saying, but respectfully, I disagree, and here's why. And they're like, what? And then they get defensive. People want to hear echo chambers. They don't want to hear somebody push back, but yet I'm accused of that. People don't know how to have a conversation. To those two people that I was button heads, they were getting, I thought one was getting counterproductive because one of them was just like really gaslighting me almost at a point. And then we came on the live stream and we talked about it. And we broke bread and came to an understanding. Game changer. Kind of made some assumptions and said, yo, I feel like you're doing this. Let me play devil's advocate to your points. We found common ground. I welcome anybody to have a respectful debate. I am passionate. I'm confident. If I'm wrong, I own up to it. And I want to leave a better person. And when we come to middle grounds, when we disagree, we learn from each other. Disagreements are stepping stones to educating and expanding our brains. And I will always respectfully invite anybody that wants to challenge me onto my show. And I may get passionate. I may get a little loud. Maybe you can. Maybe, hey, you can too, as long as we're respectful. And at the end of the day, it's all love. Tony, what's going on, man? Since Lego has been recent price increases as well. Ooh, you know what, Tony? That might make Lego go up in price on the secondary market. That's the thing with some of these toys. Just to address this real quick. That's why, like Transformers, you get certain lines of toys that they change up every year. They do a different line, right? And they're the scarcity of a certain run, like the 30th anniversary, or like the War for Cybertron line of Transformer toys. You know, they only put it on shelves for a certain amount of time and then pull it and then they go with the next line. Similar with Legos. Like, I can absolutely see this bringing in a secondary market demand that makes these, you know, because you know what Lego does. They partner with, they do, you know, DC Lego sets, Star Wars, Marvel Lego sets, Minecraft Lego sets, whatever it may be. You know, My Little Pony Lego sets, Barbie, like whatever. And Call of Duty, I think, or maybe that's their competitor. Anyways, my point is, it might drive down, it might shift demand, it might shift people that buy Legos for their kids to not spend as much, especially in this market, in this economy where people are hurting for, you know, expendable income. But it could really drive up value on the secondary market. So very interesting take. Woo, woo, woo. All right, guys, I'm just going through some comments. Let's see what else Game Punisher has to say. I will not hate on you, Cherno. I saw your complete vid about, yeah. Well, look, I'm gonna tell you right, I ain't even saying his name. Y'all can see it on screen because it ain't even worth my time. And at this point, it's like dust off my shoulder. But I will say this as a learning example for everyone here. Game Punisher, I appreciate you acknowledging that. And I'll tell you this right now, without saying anybody's name, my door is always open. My door is always open, and I don't ever want to hold grudges against anybody. And I believe people are fighting their own battles. People are fighting their own battles in life, and that whole situation, I mean, it bothers me because I pray for dude. You know? I don't wish ill on nobody. But right now, all I can do is kind of laugh at it. I mean, the funny thing is, the irony of all that, man, is I'm constantly speaking my mind and losing subscribers. Constantly. And it goes to the fact, it's like, and I've said this before, it's like I don't buy into party politics. Like I don't sometimes I don't flatline myself. Like when I do a local ballot, I might vote for a Republican here. I might vote for a Democrat here, maybe an independent here, et cetera, because I believe in the individual. And it's the same thing with my channel. I'm not here to pick sides or, talk something up for clicks and views. I want clicks and views, and I will never lie about that. This is a business. But it's a business that allows me to be a part of an amazing community. I am here to build my subscribership, build my views, make some revenue and pay my bills. This is my business, but I build a business on ethical practices and a business culture that I believe in morally and ethically. But I continue to lose subs and lose followers and piss people off because they'll sub me up because they agree with one thing I'm saying in one video, and then they'll watch another video and be like, oh my God, I disagree with that. And people don't have the brain capacity to realize that we don't need to agree on everything all of the freaking time. If I was what this man said I was, or what so many other people that, and I'll tell you what, I'll come out and say it right now because I ain't holding back on nothing. It's so funny that grown-ass men can be such snakes. Because I've seen so many people flip-floppity flipping. And that's all I'll say about that. Flip-floppity flipping, man. I would rather you pick a side than a flip-flop. Sorry, Game Punisher, it's not directed at you. I believe in your intent here. But it shed light on the fact that, man, I do love you guys. I got love for everybody that comes here and supports me, even if you disagree. Even if you're clicking down that thumbs button. It's all good. I want you all to be honest with me whenever you disagree with me or you think I'm doing something wrong. Call me out. That's what I wanted this individual to do with me. Like, you got a problem with me? Don't be a coward and like, not have somebody's name in your mouth for 2 years and there be no problems and all of a sudden put somebody's name in your mouth. Like, tell me to my face. Any of you, tell me to my face you got a problem with me. Hopefully we can work it out. If not, hey, it is what it is. But I know who I am and I know what I do. And I know why I'm here, and that's all I can do at the end of the day. And I love all of you for being here and giving me the support. But trust is earned. You guys, and this goes back to the influencer and accountability thing. You guys want them to be transparent, and you expect so much trust out of them. Hey, look, I don't like the label influencer. I'm not even saying I'm an influencer. I'll say we all influence, right? That's why I hate that if I'm here having an audience, I have the ability to influence. So I need trust from you guys as well. I put a lot on the line for you guys. I put my heart on my sleeve a lot. I make myself vulnerable. And I spend a lot of time and energy. Like, I make myself personal. I make myself available. I'm in IG. Guys, I'm telling you, I only have 12,000 subscribers. Can't imagine having 25, 50,000. I spend hours a week replying to IG private messages from you guys, from people that I don't even know. And you know what I do? I do it because I hate typing. It's easier for me to talk. I send voice messages. You guys ask me, yo, Chris, Journo, I got this book. Should I send it off to CGC? I'm sitting here sending a voice message. Yo, what's going on? Hope you don't mind the voice message. Just to answer your question. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what that does? It allows me to get insight into some of you guys. You guys might send me voice messages back, maybe not. Whatever you're comfortable with. I get to hear your guys' voice. I get to get more of the human being of who you are instead of just the type words and the thumbnail. And I like that. But you guys got to understand, I'm putting a lot of energy into doing this. So much so, this is why I care so deeply. And maybe this is a character flaw. Like this whole ignorant ass situation that happened. Some stupid beef over comic books. I shouldn't have even responded. But when I saw people that follow my channel from when I didn't even care about subs, I had 300 subs. I see people, dropping my name and again, this is a business and I got to protect my brand. I had the right to respond. Anybody in my position, any grown man in my position, the majority of you would have wanted to respond, and many of you probably wouldn't have been as cordial as I was. Because I know if you caught me 20 years ago, it would have been different. But I put a lot of energy into these relationships with you guys, and I don't even know you guys. And that's why when this drama happened, it took a lot out of me. To where I was saying I almost made myself sick because I wasn't sleeping. I was extending so much energy, doing all those lives, and I was exhausted because I care about my community. And now I saw so many people being snakes, saying one thing going into my DMs where I spend so much time connecting with you guys. So many people being snakes. And that's why it takes so much out of me, and you wonder why I care. If I was only here to run a business and make money off of my followers, you think I would give a damn? You think I would have ever responded to anything? You think I would speak my mind and lose subscribers when doing so? Nope. I would dance around playing doing the okie doke. I will be doing the okie doke just to get my clicks and views up. Otaku Pops, thank you. Appreciate you. Donnelly, thank you. It's not, guys, and I want to make it clear too, I'm not sitting here feeding you a sad story because I'll probably get accused of that too. And they watch. If the haters watch, then you're doing something right. But I'm not sitting here feeding you a sad story. Please don't. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm just being honest. I'm being vulnerable. And it's as simple as that. Travis, I plan on having more live streams regularly throughout the week. No set days or anything like that yet, though. So thanks for that question. Yeah, Lou, and you're absolutely right. Like, this has been a learning lesson all around. I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you, because at the end of the day, I got to protect my health, and focus my energy where I need to focus on. And I realize that people are going to be people. I want people to be decent human beings so bad. And I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect at all. And I want people to call me out on my flaws, or when I'm overstepping boundaries or handling something differently. Tell me to my face, yo, Chris, I don't like how you're handling this. Tell me to my face. But you're right. At the end of the day, I can't change everyone, and I can't make everyone be a decent human being. And I sure as hell ain't gonna make everyone like me. That was never the case. But I want everyone to be respectful at least. But some people don't want that. Some people, for some reason, thrive off the ignorance, or off the toxicity. It feeds them, and that's sad. That's sad. And maybe they have good intent themselves. I don't know. But I can't feed off it either. I can't sit and stress off of, wanting to save the world one person at a time. I got to protect myself. And I learned that a lot over these last couple of weeks. And, like I said, it is a character defect. I'm not going to lie. I care so much. And it's not because I care what people think. I think I'm an empath. I am sensitive to feelings and emotions and other people. And I have this kind of like, hopefulness for the world. And it's a character defect, because I feel like I do come on the defensive at times, because I want to defend my right to have that, our right to be better people. But sometimes I just got to let it go, especially on social media, because we know what social media breeds. It's just nasty. Alex, thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate you, man. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, if you guys aren't subscribed to Alex the Comic Hoarder, you got to go give him a sub. This guy is just, when you talk about a decent human being and just a great, amazing collector, check out Alex. We both got started class in 2016. We both started our YouTube in 2016. Mind you, I didn't take mine serious until 2020. Where I was like, okay, I could do this as a business. When I lost my job, I was laid off from my job for COVID. I started my channel in 2016 because my kids told me, make a YouTube video showing your comics. And I did. And I met a lot of great people. Alex was one of them. And Alex, you know it. That bond will always be there, man. I appreciate you. And the love is beyond words. So thank you for being here and hanging out. The right audience of 50 is worth more than the wrong audience of 50. Brendan, man, I'm telling you, you're going to win an award today, man. You're going to win an award. The right audience of 50 is worth more than the wrong audience of 50,000. Yep. I mean, that you need to trademark that right there. That's and when we talk about worth more and we talk about value, we're not even talking about monetary value. We're talking about what we value in life. And that's what matters. And you are absolutely right. I don't care. I've had negative loss of subscribers for like a week straight. And at the end of the day, it's all good, because I know that I'm going to be here to hopefully be a voice for those that want to listen and those that want to share with me, so we can keep learning from each other. Those other 100 plus that I lost over the last week, I got no control over them, and it's all good. Collecting chaos. Yeah, I would be open to that. You bring so much great insight, and I've always appreciated that about you. My door is always open. Adam, I appreciate you. That's funny. I said I was just doing a stream for an hour, and I've been on here for 2. So we are going to start wrapping up here, folks. I actually have to go cook dinner still, but thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Do what X11 says, because we're telling you to. We're influencing you. Quality over quantity. Thanks, Jesse. Thank you. Let's fight about it. No, I appreciate you, Jesse. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right on, guys. You guys are awesome. So I'm going to call it a show, guys. I'm going to call it a show. This has been great. I mean, we talked about so much today. So I really appreciate you all for being here, and those that hung out till the end. Again, if you aren't subscribed, I really appreciate the support. Please do so. Even if you may agree with something I say one day or disagree the other day, click the thumbs down on that video. Come on my comments, say, Chris, I disagree. Let's have a conversation. My door is always open. Thank you, guys. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Remember, Comic Book Cannon on the Comic Book Cannon YouTube tomorrow night. Link below, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Awesome special guest, 360 Comics. And then please check me out on the Whatnot app. The link's below. If you don't have it yet, if you download that link and sign up, you'll get $10 off of your first purchase. I'm having my part 2 of my big Spider-Man sale this coming Friday. Guys, go check that out. Thank you all. Be well. And until next time.